God, for his word will come.
I think the negativity and the backlash is going to come from probably mainly Christians who are so entrenched in their beliefs, you know, that I've had some, I won't name names, but there was somebody already who told one of my children that they shouldn't listen to this because it's not how we believe, you know. And it's sad. It's really sad because, first of all, if, God forbid, I'm wrong, then the only sin I really committed was to believe that God was more merciful than he really is, you know. But the thing about it is, God is not a monster. He is just so above even the worst case situations that have happened in the world. Some of these genocidal maniacs and some of these creatures that have walked the earth. God is so far above that. And somehow, some way, God is able to fix all that. He has the ability in the future, at the resurrection, to have the predator and the prey together. To be, you know, brought back together and somehow bring about restitution to that situation. And it's beyond the comprehension of man that could possibly happen. You know, the man who pulled the trigger or threw the knife is now there with his victim, and those who were hurt by that, and somehow to bring about restitution by the blood of Christ. I couldn't imagine what that's going to be like. You know? And, you know, a very controversial topic is Hitler. A lot of people, naturally, I mean, he was a monster. But I believe it's going to be the 6 billion or 6 million Jews crying out for forgiveness for him. You know? Through his judgments that he will have to go through. And I say to people, be glad that you weren't chosen to be an instrument of destruction like Adolf Hitler. You know? That man, I don't make any excuses for that man, but he was definitely mentally ill, and he was probably demon-possessed. You know? And he did not possess the Spirit of God, you know. But I believe that even a creature like that, God has the power and the ability to set that man free from that type of destruction and to heal the nations that have been affected by that type of disaster that happened in World War II. But that wasn't the only Holocaust. I mean, look at what the Americans, the settlers came to this world. We've killed over 12 million Sioux Indians. I mean, nobody talks about that, you know. There are many, the Irish Holocaust, and the Holocaust that Stalin did, you know. So, I mean, yeah, this stuff is nothing new. It's been going on for a long time. But somehow, some way, God has the power. He's so great and so awesome that he has the power to bring healing and to set people free from that type of destruction, you know. And some people say, well, that's not fair. I don't think anybody has anything to say. You know, it says in the Bible that every mouth will be silenced. We don't have nothing to say about that. God will act. He will act swiftly, and he'll do what he has to do. But in the end, he will be all in all. We will all be born again. Yeah, I don't like that word born again either. It's a rebirth, a rebirthing, but it's not like belonging to a born again charismatic church or anything like that. It's an actual, you know, Jesus talks about how a seed has to die in order for it to become a flower, you know. We have to die in order, this corrupt entity has to die in order for us to be incorruptible. So, and I think I captured a lot of that in this album. You know, there's some beautiful, beautiful songs on here. I like the other song we did, which was Let My Life Be Like a Love Song. That was, you did some really good guitar on that one, and that was a really good song. And I think really comes down to is that we really have to live our lives like we're writing a love song. And it's hard. I mean, I'm one of the biggest hypocrites around, but, you know, I do try at times to try to live up to that at times. You know, I think if we all did, the world would be a nice, better place to live, you know. like to Let Us Pray for a number of reasons. I thought it had a really good beat to it. You know, it was a very fast-paced song, very cool song, but it also talks about, you know, lending love to a brother. You know, who's my brother? The guy standing next to you, you know. You know, I love the sound. I remember seeing Elvis sang that song in a movie called Change of Habit. And he sings it at the end. And Mary Tyler Moore was in the movie. It was a really good movie, and I think it was done in the late '60s. And he plays that song at the end, and it was really cute. It was really well done, and it's a really nice song. I always wanted to sing it, you know. So that was a really good song. Crying in the Chapel is just a beautiful song. Lead Me, Guide Me. I think we all have to be. I think, you know, if a person feels a stirring inside their heart, go with it and humble yourself and ask God for help, you know. And that's what I try to do on a daily basis. I mean, I fail miserably every day, don't get me wrong, you know. But, you know, I get myself back up, I dust myself off, and I ask God to forgive me and to lead me and to guide me. So, you know, we all need God. You know, they talk about how there's a void inside of us, and that can only be filled by the Spirit of God, you know. And so, you know, I believe we're living in some really amazing times, some really wild things. And, you know, God talks about there'll be a day where we're going to start to see some really amazing things. So I can feel some, we've talked about some things, and I can feel that we have a huge change that's going to come to the world in the future. I really do, and we might be fortunate enough to see it, you know.